Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. All right. Welcome back to the Get Sculpted pod. We're talking about one of my favorite topics today, a really important one. So I want you to listen to this. And that is fat loss versus weight loss. Which one do you really want and how to get it? So first things first, I don't want you to be married to the dang scale. And this is really what this stems from. It is really easy to see scale fluctuations as going up and down, but that's really not what it is. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And we've talked about the scale before, but what we really want you to get from this episode is to internalize that you're not looking to see a magic number on the scale. And if your goal is to get lean and have less body fat and look toned, then it's not just weight loss that you're looking for. Like, you don't want just weight loss. What you want is true fat loss while maintaining or maybe even building muscle in the process. And there's a big difference. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because if you're not careful and you're really letting the scale dictate your progress and you're making decisions based off that alone, and you're trying to expedite the scale weight going down, you could actually be doing more harm than good to your physique and ultimately your results by losing weight too quickly. So in this episode, we're going to break down, first of all, how to know if you're actually losing body fat and not just weight, mistakes that are killing your progress and that are actually sabotaging you building that body sculpting muscle or maintaining it, and how to do it right. So you really are losing body fat. And so you can ultimately have the body of your dreams. So let's dive in. First things first, we are going to talk about the signs that you're losing fat and not just water weight or even muscle. Okay. But before we get into the conversation around fat loss, I want to talk about what you might see in terms of fluctuations or what other things we have to consider when it comes to your weight. Because when you lose and gain weight, it's not just coming from fat. So let's bring it back to the basics. So your body weight is going to be made up of two main things. Number one is your fat mass, body fat. Number two is your fat-free mass. So your fat-free mass is not just muscle. I wish. It's not like I'm 20% body fat, I'm 80% muscle. That would be
a dream.
Yeah.
A gal's dream.
I know. That would also be like freakish. Like then you wouldn't have any of this other stuff, which is your bones and your organs. And you don't want to lose these things, obviously.
No.
You don't want your organs to be shutting down. So that's like the extreme end of things. But you don't want to lose muscle either.
We need those.
Yeah, we need those. So
Right.
see, these are taking up space in your body too. So, when you step on the scale and the number drops, it doesn't tell you like where you're losing that number from. Some of that could even be a number of things, which we're going to talk about. So you could be dropping fat, or you could be just losing some water weight or even just some food in your digestive tract. This is where most people don't realize how easy it is to actually like be losing the wrong thing when you are in a fat loss phase.
That's right.
So true.
I'd love if you guys can even speak to that briefly about like how we've seen this with our clients, right? Like you do the check-in and then the scale's not moving the way you want to. And then the client's kind of thinking the worst, right? Like I'd love if you guys could speak to that or if you have an anecdote there.
Absolutely. I think that it's part of the learning process. If you've been stuck in this diet culture, internal war with yourself, that you're giving so much weight,
So much power to the scale. Yeah.
power, to the scale, that it holds so much of that power over you. When you start to work with somebody as a client and they start to see how we go through a body recomposition and they see their clothes fitting again, but they're like, I don't understand. The scale is the exact same, or it might be only 1 or 2 pounds, but they might be multiple sizes smaller. I think that that's a really powerful lesson that we get to explore and teach our clients, and they can actually live through that, because I think until you do, you're not really sure or clear or believe that the scale doesn't hold that power over you. you know?
That's right. There's a lot of learning and then unlearning and relearning because T, like you spoke about, there is a very big misconception that if you're not seeing a number change on the scale, it means you're not making progress. So teaching them the distinction between what weight loss is and what fat loss is so important because otherwise it is a losing battle because we know that nothing we do is linear. Life isn't linear. Our bodies aren't linear in terms of fat loss, muscle gain. So we have to understand that distinction. Otherwise, you'll feel a lot of times along the journey that you're stuck or you're not making progress. And that's just not the case, which is why we have to look at other signs of true fat loss other than the scale.
Totally.
Exactly. I love that. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. So if you are on your fat loss journey and you're super married to the scale, I want to share some signs with you that you're actually losing true body fat, regardless of what the scale says. So number one is your clothes are fitting better. The clothes don't lie, even if the scale is barely budging. And this can throw people off because here's the thing. First of all, muscle doesn't weigh more than fat.
No.
Okay? A pound is a pound. It's more dense.
Pound is a pound. Yes.
Like a pound of feathers or a pound of bricks. Like it's a pound, but it is more dense. All right. So fat does take up more space. So think about it this way. If you are seeing your pants fit looser or even just you liking what you're seeing in the mirror more, but the scale's barely moving, then who cares? Like you're trying to lose body fat. You know that, hey, put two and two together. Things are headed in the right direction here.
Yep.
That's right.
Also, you are having consistent and steady energy. This is very underrated. You're not having constant crashes. So when you're doing fat loss right and you're coaxing the fat off and not starving the fat off, which is what we always talk about, sure, you could do it with a really aggressive calorie deficit, but that's going to swing you right back into overeating. So when you're doing it right, your body's feeling supported. You're not dragging through the day. You're actually feeling like you can show up the way you need to your day,
That's right.
to your training, and slow and steady long game. That's the game you want to play. That's how you know that you're not losing quick weight on the scale. You're actually seeing consistent change.
That's right.
Let's talk about hunger because this is really important. You want to have manageable hunger. I don't want you to be freaking out at the first sign of hunger. It's a healthy sign that your metabolism's doing what it's supposed to. You're in an energy deficit. You're eating fewer calories than what you need to maintain your weight. You're going to have some hunger, but it should be manageable. It should not feel like you're starving. It should not feel like you're having dreams about food and going to bed at night. And I don't know about you, Mary. When I did my contest prep back in the day, I literally remember going to bed thinking about like sushi because I couldn't eat.
That's all I thought about at every point of the day. Every time my mind wasn't occupied with something else, I was thinking about food.
Yeah.
Constantly.
That is a sign that you're in a very aggressive deficit. And you want to just acknowledge that hunger is normal on one hand, but a normal level of hunger, right? So again, if you can't concentrate on anything else and you're having extreme cravings, then this is a sign that your calorie intake is too low and you're not going to lose body fat at the appropriate rate. Also, this one is my favorite, especially with the individuals that we work with, which is a lot of our clients, you know, that tend to come to me is like, they don't have a whole lot of scale weight to lose. So we're seeing their body change visually. Like if you're seeing more ab lines, if you're seeing more of your leg muscles coming through, you're seeing muscle even without being in a flex. The photos don't lie. Like if you're looking better, who the heck cares what the freaking scale says?
That's right.
You want to look at your photos. You want to look at your body measurements. All of that is going to give you the real picture. It's going to give you the holistic picture. Anything that you girls would add in terms of like what measurements you look for even in your personal journey or with a client?
Well, I was going to say that for myself, I remember actually vividly the moment where I came to the realization that my ideal body, the one that I had been chasing for years and years and years, was actually a lot heavier on the scale than I thought it would be. Because again, like everything you've talked about, I was actually losing fat, not just weight. I was building muscle. So my body was so tight, so toned, and my clothes were loose, all those wonderful good things you talked about. But the number was completely different than I thought it would be. I truly was textbook case where I was looking solely at the numbers, hoping that my body would follow. Whereas now I was looking at my body and kind of looking at the number going, isn't that interesting? I would say there was probably like a 20-pound difference, if not more, from what my ideal body is and was to what I thought it would weigh. I thought I had to be at like 100 pounds. And here we are at like 130 to 140 pounds. And that's where my ideal body sits. So very interesting there.
I love that. And I would add a couple more. I think when you're in true fat loss and things aren't too aggressive and they're sustainable, you also have a sex drive still. Like you have, and I'm going to go there for a second because like you're still interested in that, right? Like when you are too hungry and you have no energy and you are literally starving and all you can think about is your next meal or whatever food you're craving, you're not showing up for the other stuff in your life. And that could be
Mhm.
like showing up for your partner, right?
Yeah.
And so I also think when I'm evaluating things with clients and they're like, ooh, we're getting spicy in the bedroom again. I'm like, yes, we're in the right
Yeah.
calorie deficit. Things are in a good spot because they're losing fat. They're feeling more confident in their body.
Yes.
They're showing up in a different way. That confidence tends to shine through. And I would say even things like the way that they choose to dress going forward, it shifts. Like this whole identity starts to come out when you're looking at fat loss and you're looking at the contributing factors that bring that together, and you're in a leaner, stronger body. You want to dress that body differently. You want to show up differently. You walk with a different confidence. And
Completely.
that's the kind of feedback that I'm looking for from my clients.
Love that.
I love that. That's awesome. And I think that this is a really good segue, Jord, because I know one of your talking points that you discuss frequently is the scale and why it lies and what it's really telling you. So I'd love if you can just really zoom in on that aspect for us.
Whew, where do we start? Okay. So the scale, why does it lie to you? You know, it's almost like a sad state of things when, you know, I talk to a woman, we're having an initial call, and I'm sure you have too. And they're like, I get on the scale every single day and it sets the tone. It sets the tone. If the number is up, I'm not a happy girl. And if the number is down, that's the only time when I'm going to go on through my day in a more positive mood. And I think that's a really dangerous way to live life. And trust me, I was there. The scale up, unhappy. Scale down, happy. And just because the scale goes up doesn't mean that you've actually gained fat. And a scale drop, like we're talking about, doesn't always mean fat loss. It can mean a lot of different things. And your body weight can change day to day based on so many things that has nothing to do with fat and has nothing to do with whether you are doing the wrong things. That's the other part, is that a lot of people believe that, oh, I'm doing everything right. Why isn't the scale moving?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why. Let's name some of them, right? Water retention can be one.
Big one.
If you had more carbs or sodium in the day before, your body will hold water. For every gram of carbs, there's 3 grams of water. And so you are going to retain that carb is going to expand in your body. And that can translate into holding water, which means the scale is going to increase.
Right.
Your hormones around your cycle, things are changing. Your estrogen and progesterone shifts. It can cause bloating and water weight spikes. And let's face it, when you are bleeding in a cycle, you are also creating something that is leaving your body, and that's going to weigh something in your body, right? Like the expansion of your uterus as a whole.
It's just data. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Another one is stress. Cortisol also messes with our fluid balance. So if you're stressed, you're not sleeping well, you should actually expect the scale to bounce up a little bit because you're not managing that relationship with stress well enough that you're able to stay leaner. Another one is bowel movements. So not so glamorous, but I love talking about poop sometimes. There's a lot.
It's important.
Yeah, that we can
We
tell
all poop.
about poop.
Everyone poops. It's a book.
Yeah.
But if you're not pooping,
that's
where
problem.
the scales lie.
Yeah. So if you're constipated, if you have IBS, if you have other things that are going to mess with your regularity, if you're not getting enough fiber in your diet, that's going to hold in your body and create excess weight.
Right.
It's not real weight. We just need to start flushing things out. So drinking more water, getting back onto more whole foods so that you can actually get things moving. Get out for a walk. That definitely helps. Another one is muscle soreness. So things like inflammation from training really hard can also equal water retention. So ironically, your best workouts can actually make you heavier on the scale the next day. So have a mindful approach to that. And I would also add here traveling. So traveling is very dehydrating.
Oh my God, yes.
So when I went to Florida like several months ago, I gained like 7 or 8 pounds in 10 days. And I came home and old me would have flipped out. Okay. Flipped out. But I knew it was sodium from all of the eating out and the food. I knew that it was the sea salt air. Yeah, I was dehydrated from the flying and I just needed to get back into routine. And honestly, the day after I came home, I had already dropped like 4.5 pounds. I was like, see, I knew it. But if you don't know it yet, that is something to be very mindful of. So if you're up a pound or 2 or even 5, it doesn't mean that your plan isn't working. It doesn't mean that you gained fat overnight. To gain an actual pound of fat, you'd have to eat 3,500 extra calories on top of your maintenance.
That's right.
So let's say my maintenance calories are 2,500 calories. I'd have to eat 3,500 on top of that, which is 6,000 calories in a single day. That's a lot of calories, and that is probably kind of hard to do.
I was going to say, good luck.
Yeah.
I challenge you.
I challenge you. Like,
have to get the munchies for that.
Yeah. So really check yourself when you are stepping on the scale. It can be a great source of data, but it is often needed to have a reality check along with it to understand context. Do you guys want to share a quick story about a client or two, or maybe even experience yourself that you had when there was a scale spike, when things didn't line up?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kind of relate it back to myself for 1 second, because it was like the story I already told, where I remember that there was this pair of work pants that I wore and I put them on. And again, my weight was significantly higher than I thought. So these pants were pants that I once wore. You know, I think it was like my first year of teaching in 2005. So it was a long time ago. So I put them on and I remember standing there and I went to my husband. I was like, oh my God. I was like, these pants are enormous on me. But again, I was like 20 pounds heavier than when I would have worn those pants previously.
That's crazy.
So I see that happening with a lot of our clients. And I actually see our clients, same thing, where they're very shocked at the fact that the scale weight hasn't changed dramatically, but they go shopping in their own closet or they go shopping and clothes are fitting them differently as well because everything has changed. But again, they definitely don't see that in the number on the scale. So that to me is such a cool thing to witness a client experience, because that's that moment where you're like, okay, they broke up. That's it. That relationship is over.
Smash that scale.
Yeah. And it's cool when you can end up seeing the scale as an objective tool.
Yes.
Like one of my clients recently, she went through a period where she was going through a lot of high stress, just a lot of demand in her life. And she was really on the ball with her nutritional compliance and her training. But we even looked at things like her recovery score was really low. You know, the Oura Ring's giving you the info, but she's also telling me, hey, I'm not really feeling a little bit like I'm kind of just not recovering well. So anyway, she had to have a surgery and she took some time off. And I said to her, I feel like this is really going to give you that whoosh effect with your weight loss, because I feel like you just need that downtime. Wouldn't you know it, in 2 weeks, she dropped 5 pounds after being stalled out for like 4 weeks. And that's when you can see like, hey, a lot of that was inflammation and like water weight. But I feel like it was also then accurately reflecting her fat loss. So when you know what we do with our clients, shameless plug here, when you know the right metrics to track, and you're not letting the scale like dictate that, I think that this is kind of like the lesson that we're going here for you guys, that it can be a tool, but it's not the be all end all.
No.
So Mare, I would love if you could share the other side of things, which, we don't hear this that often, but it does happen. Some mistakes that can lead to actually losing muscle, which is not what we want.
Let's talk about one of the worst things that can happen when you are solely focusing on this weight loss and you lose it too quickly, and that is losing muscle. And we do not want that to happen, because the muscle we're talking about is that muscle that is going to make you look toned and lean. It's the muscle, like we've discussed, that's going to boost your metabolism so your body can burn more calories while you're resting. Like, how good is that? And this happens when women chase those quick fixes. And we've been there, ladies. Like, we understand, we have been there, where you lose weight far too quickly. But yes, you will lose fat, but it's also costing you muscle. And so this actually can derail your progress more than you realize. So let's kind of get into what leads to muscle loss and how to avoid it. So first is doing too much cardio. We have talked about this ad nauseum on our podcast because it is so worth stressing. Doing too much cardio and not doing enough lifting. So in a lot of cases, when a woman wants to drop pounds fast, what do? They go to their go-to, which is they hop on the treadmill, they hop on the elliptical, they do spin classes. We know, right? And again, more sweat, the better. Now, cardio has its place. Do not get me wrong. We are not saying that cardio does not have a place, but if all you're doing is cardio and you're not lifting weights, then your body is going to burn through that muscle, not just fat, and it's going to start using your muscle as fuel when it's not getting enough resistance training to maintain it. But again, let's go back. Muscle gives you that sculpted look that you want. And if you're not using it, you are going to lose it. So cardio can support your goals, but it cannot be the only thing. You need strength training 3 to 4 times a week to preserve that muscle mass, because when you lift weights, your body is getting that message to hold on to the muscle. So as you are losing fat, you're able to hold on to that muscle that you have. Another thing is eating way too little. That's another thing that leads to muscle loss. So again, a lot of women fall into that classic trap They do too much cardio and they slash calories because they think less calories means faster weight loss. And when you cut calories too low, your body's brilliant. It's going to adapt because it's like, oh, this is all I'm getting. But that's not a good thing when your body's adapting to low calories. Your body will actually start to break down muscle for energy instead of fat. So that weight will go down on the scale, but it's not the kind of weight that you want. And your body's not going to look lean. It's not going to look toned. Your energy is going to tank. All of the things that we've already talked about, none of this is good for your body. And Jord, I think you just said this, like when you go into a calorie deficit, the goal is not to eat as little as possible. You want to do it modestly. You want to do it gradually. So that way you're losing just enough fat, but while still making progress. So it's like finding that balance. And the third thing is not eating enough protein. I feel like this is like a message on repeat, right? We can't stress it enough.
It needs to be.
I know.
Until you guys start eating your protein, we're going to keep reminding you.
That's right. Especially though, when you're trying to lose fat and preserve muscle, if you're not eating enough protein in a calorie deficit, muscle loss. That's just plain and simple what's going to happen because protein helps protect your muscles during weight loss. It gives your body what it needs to repair and maintain muscles. So if you're under eating protein, you're going to totally struggle with hunger and cravings like we already mentioned because protein is the food of the gods. It keeps you fuller longer and you're not likely to snack on other things. So we suggest aim for about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's going to help you stay on track. Do you girls have anything to add to that or big ones of how not to lose that muscle?
I do. And I actually want to do a special call out to all of my GLP-1 girlies because there's a lot of you out there. These 3 things are critical to you especially because there is no more food noise. Things are really quiet in your mind. You are not eating as much, which is helping your weight loss, but you will lose muscle only if you don't work out. If you don't strength train properly, you will lose muscle because your body is just going to use it.
That's right.
As energy. And if you're not prioritizing your protein, you will also lose that muscle. So if you are listening to this episode and you are on a GLP-1, please pay special attention to this because we've worked with clients that are on GLP-1s and they are seeing phenomenal progress that is just coupled with their medication with our Get Sculpted methods and approach. And they are seeing absolutely incredible progress and they are getting sculpted and they are able to make that progress that they've actually never been able to before. So just that special carve out because there's a couple of nuances for more and more people that are using these drugs as a support.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, it is. And I think that what these drugs do, like you said, Jordan, is they help our clients like facilitate being able to execute the right plan, which is parameters that we lay out for people.
Awesome.
You still need to build the habits.
Speaking of that, I think that this is a good segue because we're going to share with you how you can actually lose body fat the right way and how you're going to keep muscle in the process. Now you know what not to do. So let's talk about what you want to focus on. And I want to bring it back to this too. Remember, the focus here is not just to see a number on the scale and it's not to be skinny either. Like, you know, we always hear the word skinny, but you want to be lean. Yeah, we're over that. It's okay to want to be lean where like, hey, you see the muscle definition, you have a tight waist, like that's fine. But lean means you're hanging on to muscle and you're like really prioritizing body composition. So this is what that looks like. Number 1, strength training is a priority. We say it all the time for good freaking reason. You need to be making the forefront of how you're exercising around resistance training because it's going to give you the most bang for your buck in so many different ways. It is going to shape your body. It's definitely not going to make you bulky because if you train your butt off and you're doing so forever and ever, you're never going to get to the point of being overly bulky. I promise you that. It's going to build those curves that you want. It's going to build that shapely body, that athletic body, that toned body. Muscle equals being toned and being lean enough to see how toned you are. So it's going to build your curves in the right places. And here's the thing. If you've been lifting weights for a while, I want you to know that you're not actually going to build muscle during your lean out. Like, just so you know, you are going to be hanging on to that muscle and revealing the muscle. So you really got to do the work on creating that muscle, like before the fat loss phase and following your fat loss phase. And like we mentioned earlier, you got to be in a moderate calorie deficit when you are shedding body fat. So yeah, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You 100% do. There's no way around this. No way around the fact that you need to eat less, but you don't want to do so in an aggressive way that's going to downregulate your metabolism. It's going to make you really hungry and have huge cravings where you're going to overeat. So you want to eat enough that you're fueling the workouts needed that are going to maintain your muscle. And you want to actually make the process more gradual, because slow fat loss is actually sustainable fat loss. And remember, if you're doing this forever and ever and you're keeping these habits, who cares how long it takes? Protein, specifically, like we talked about earlier, you want to get it in, but you want to get in at least 0.8 grams per pound of your body weight. And if you're training really, really hard, I would say closer to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And if you have more body fat to lose, you can go by your kind of ideal lean weight if you have an estimate there. And finally, we want you to stop obsessing over the scale. We said it before, but we're going to say it again.
Yeah.
You might want to even stop weighing yourself. Like we tell our clients sometimes, like I know we've said this before,
Yeah.
hey, this is really getting to you. It's not helping you. It's not doing you any favors. Let's actually not weigh you at all. You want to focus on the metrics that matter, and you want to know what metrics to look for. And if you need support with that, this is exactly what we help our clients with. It's our zone of genius, so hit us up. Ladies, anything that you would add to wrap up our discussion here?
If you are really frustrated with that scale, like take a page out of my playbook, go get a sledgehammer and smash the shit out of it.
Yes.
And take pictures while you do it, because it is so empowering to just say, you no longer have that control over me, and let it go.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, just the reframe, like you've been talking about, T, if you are someone who's tempted to chase that quick number drop, just remember weight loss and fat loss, not the same thing. The goal isn't just to weight less. You want to feel strong, look sculpted, and feel energized in your body. That's the goal. Because take it from someone who got to 100 pounds. I was not happy. I was miserable. I was tired. I was frustrated. All the things did not make me happier. So that's my 2 cents.
Agree with you there, Mare.
Yeah.
As someone who was slaving away to be 115 pounds, I can tell you I'm happier, healthier, and better looking, to be honest, for sure, at 145 than I ever was at that magic number. So
agreed.
If you got value out of this and this was like an aha moment, we would love to know what your light bulb was here. Share it with us. GetSculpted.ca is our Instagram. We love to hear from you. And if you did find this helpful, we'd love if you could share it with more women, share it with your sister, your friend, your mom, if she's receptive to it. Like, just let's rewrite this narrative together. I think this is a really powerful message.
Agreed.
All right, guys, I'm excited for the next one too, because we're going to talk about how you can align your circle with where you want to go and the goals that you want to reach, and really aligning yourself with people who are after the same thing. So we'll see you there.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.